The Fall of Max Payne. Well, the gameplay is good because they give you, all, not a lot of shit to play around with. I mean, if I say it's a lot of shit to play around with, then I'm fucking lying. It's really not that much, but it's better than absolutely nothing. The gameplay dies out a bit like in the first game, but it's revived when, I mean, they show the full potential of Max Payne's gameplay when they threw a lot of bad guys at you and giving you a limited time to actually, uh, how do you say it? Escorts mission or what the fuck you want. Not really escort, more like defending. I mean, then they really showed up, full potential of, Max Payne, this bullet time shit. I mean, it actually worked there. And it was actually pretty good, even great to be honest. But it wasn't that much. It was one fucking instant in the game when the game was about that, and that makes the game just good. Because it's still good. It's not mediocre. It's better than mediocre. But the story then, well, the story fell down the same gaping hole as the first game. And of course it's better than the first game. And of course, remember, the first game was all about Max Payne. And they still throw this fucking conspiracy story into it that it really didn't answer at all. Well, it's the same fucking shit with, Max Payne 2. And the whole thing that I gotta say that's, good is that, of course, the characters Max Payne is really good. They do an excellent job at, building up characters and making them work and interact in emotion. They are really brilliant at it. I mean, they really used everything in the game. I mean, to the TV shows, to the interaction with other people. Well, not really interacting with other people, but you get it. And they really did a good fucking job with it, and it was amazing to be honest. But to what end? Because they didn't have a story. It didn't really have a story. I mean, of course, it had a story, but the game made such a big deal of the story. Therefore, the story makes this illusion of making it, well, how to say it? I mean, when the finale when the ending comes and they tell you what it was, it wasn't really that big of a deal. But the game, during the course of the game makes it a big fucking deal. I mean, you're making, waiting for this big fucking explosion of an ending. Like, holy shit, I did not understand that you go into sprinting to dimension, and like, holy fucking shit, I did not get that. That is so good. But in the end, it was fucking nothing. And that's, exactly how the first game was. But this, really takes the cake. Because they had a character, and they threw so much shit at a character, and they had this other story going on, which I thought, I mean, wow, I mean, they really gotta answer this, because then this is a fantastic fucking game. I mean, the problem is Max Payne is that they have the characters, but they don't have the fucking story, and therefore the characters doesn't fucking matter. Because what the fuck, the character needs a fucking story to play around with. I mean, if the story is just about the character, then don't throw something else into that shit, which they did in Max Payne. They threw a fucking conspiracy story into that shit. And, well, maybe the fucking story is just about, a guy who wants to kill people. I mean, that's maybe what this was all about. Well, the problem there is that the game made such a big deal out of it. And you were waiting for something big, but it was fucking nothing. You get it, in near the end. I mean, that the game didn't really make a big deal of it, but still made a big deal of it, because it was still the driving force of the game. Because Max Payne is still a character. It's a side story, and it's an amazing side story to a story. Not just a side story, and that's the story. The story is a side story. I mean, it didn't really work in this game, at least. Of course, the Max Payne is a good fucking character, but he doesn't really have such a fucking good story. I mean, the story to Max Payne is really bad, but the side story of Max Payne it's really fantastic. I mean, like example, like they were, let's say, let's say it's a mystery about who really flushed the toilet, and you're like investigating other people, like did the German do it, did the Russian do it, did the Chinese do it, and then all of a sudden, well, the Chinese always don't have never flushed the toilet. And you, oh, okay, well, okay, let's continue. I mean, they don't make such a big deal of the, well, twists. And that's really, when the game, really starts to... I mean, it's already too late. I mean, they throw a lot of shit at you for, wanting to figure out. But they never answered it at all. Didn't really do it. Maybe it was just about it. Maybe it was just about drunk driving. I don't know. Maybe it was just about the guy who wanted to kill people. I don't know. But the game didn't made such a big deal of it. But that's not a big fucking deal. And that's always, the I mean, conspiracy stories have this habit of not being so good. I mean, look at Metal Gear Solid and well, Max Payne. I mean, a conspiracy, they made, this big fucking conspiracy, like, ooh, everybody's in on it, everything is viruses and everything, but in the end, it was fucking nothing, and that's really bad. I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, they could have used, instead of, because you are playing the game because of the story. I mean, the story is the thing that drives the game, but the whole the whole story actually just centers on Max Payne, and we already I mean, it sounds like I'm saying that Max Payne story was a bad story, but no, it wasn't. It was fantastic, but it just the whole they could have done something else. I mean, instead of just doing this, I mean, giving you shit to play around with, but never really answered it at all. Hey, look, Max Payne, Max Payne, yeah. No. They could, just, take, scenes of, let's just take away this conspiracy shit. I mean, it's too late. I mean, Max Payne 1, they didn't answer shit. And well, they answered a bit of shit in this game, but they never really answered. I mean, they just, literally just fucking kill them all. I mean, like, well, they're dead now, let's just leave it out of here. And never really answer anything. I mean, what it really about? They made such a big deal with it. It could have not just been about that. But, well, maybe it just was. Well, shit fucking sucks. I mean, they could have just, taken, scenes from Max Payne's life that reminds him of this, and, there's a story, the scenes that, drives the story, or answered everything. Like, I don't know, crimes, and investigating crimes, and it's a crime about, dead mother, and he gets flashback and starts thinking about it, but in the end he solves the crime and then moves on to the next one, and they could have just, done that. But no, they need to have this whole big conspiracy which they never really answer, because hey, we were really just talking about Max Payne. But so what I'm trying to say is that to make a fantastic story, it's always, great to have fantastically built characters like Max Payne, which they do a great job of, building up and everything, which they need. Which is needed to make a fantastic story. But the problem is that the story with Max Payne, it was about the story of the conspiracy, and Max Payne was always just a character story. A side story. And they give you this whole fucking story, which is the driving force of the game, not Max Payne. Max Payne, he shows how he reacts to the different situation, but the story was the fucking core of everything. So eventually you get to the end, and they had nothing with the story. Actually, it was fucking nothing. It was fucking nothing. It was just, Max Payne. The real story was the side story, but they have this other story. But nah, it was nothing. It was nice. Well, how the fuck do I explain it? It feels so fucking stupid to say it like that. They're good characters. Mona and Max, but But Jesus fucking Christ, they don't have a great fucking story. And that's what, Max Payne needs. A great fucking story to, use these fantastic fucking character with which they never really use. I mean, yes, if you want to be nitpicky, then yes, of course they kind of use them, but not in such a big fucking way. God fucking damn it. It's so fucking disappointing, to be honest. I mean, they give you, this shit about viruses and conspiracies and terrorism and money laundering and everything and blah 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 blah. And by nothing. It was fucking nothing. It was just Max Payne. Yeah, Max Payne. Max Payne. Max Payne. I'm seriously feeling Max Payne right now. Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, in conclusion, Max Payne is just that, a character. He's just a character. I mean, if they wanted to just make it center on the character, they could have done something else, just to make it clear that it was just about the fucking character, about Max Payne's life. But they didn't do it like that. They hooked you in with this story. I mean, with conspiracies and everything, a big fucking mystery. But they never really answer. I mean, they never answer. It doesn't lead to anything. And the only thing that is great about this is the side story about Max Payne, which is fantastic. But it doesn't matter because the real fucking story, I mean, the fucking tree to it all is fucking horrible. While the leaves and shit is actually pretty, pretty fantastic. But they're gonna fall off and die eventually because the fucking trees is fucking horrible. I hope that's better. Well, it had its good gameplay and all that shit. So yeah, fucking bullshit. Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. Well, yeah, maybe just too deep for me, but fuck off. It's just fuck. Cryostasis, I say, well, that might be too deep for you, but you can't figure it out because here, no, it was actually fucking nothing. I mean, of course, there's some shit that I don't really take up that much, but to bring up that much, but that's because they don't really matter, because they don't really have a fucking ground to stand on. Like I said in the second video, it doesn't really have a ground to stand. Okay, it has, it have gameplay that's good, but a story that's horrible. But with characters that is fantastic, well, the characters doesn't matter because they're never really used. So for what end? I mean, they're building up these characters, so good, fantastic. But to what end? Because they never finish the story. They never do. They just fucks it up and say, nah. So because of that, Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. I mean, it's a great game. It's better than the first one, which was just a good game. Because, because of they experimented a bit more with, building up Max Payne as a character. I mean, they started to make this TV show and everything you centered around Max Payne and everything you centered. I mean, how he reacted to everything. Those was fantastic, but because of the story just being flawed out horrible, it's just a great game because the gameplay is good in comparison to the first game, which the gameplay just dies out. But in general, yeah, it's still good in the character story is fantastic, but because of this, story, it's just horrible, but it's still good, I guess. Or you can just say that the story is not on the same level as the characters. While the characters are fantastic, the story is just horrible. It's just such a big fucking gap between them. But with the story, the game doesn't make a big deal of it, but still makes a mystery about it. Like, let's say that you question, is this or is this that? And they just answer, yeah. It's just like I said, I mean, they make this mystery about the story, but in the end, it doesn't make a big fucking deal of it. I mean, then what's the point of making a mystery about it? So, yeah, it's a great game.